Dear respected teachers, dear Sangha, this retreat is quite short. It's like 5 days, normally 6, 7 days. So we had to squeeze this announcement in this retreat. So usually we do announcement of things later on. So we apologize a little bit of taking space in your retreat time. But it's quite appropriate that we announce this initiative, this opening school for our in our tradition. So what our team here will present about this idea that we've been cooking for about a year. This is our team here, Brother Phap Lu, and he's been hanging around here. He's kind of coyote monk. Oh, he's in the mountain. There's Mina is there, and she's been around forever with the wake-up schools and in education, quite literate in that field. And we have Carmen, worked in schools for a big part of her life, nearly here in tough schools up in San Fernando Valley, Pacoima, inner city school. So you can see her heart and her love for bringing this to marginalized communities. So this is and then we have Angela Amihan. She's also involved a lot with education and with Buddhist temples and trying to revive and bring the Thai plum village tradition into the traditional Vietnamese temples. She started the Buddhist Youth in America, Buddhist Youth of America, BYA, quite from zero to quite a beautiful blooming of that to bring mindfulness and Thai's tradition. So today we will share about, I guess this is the first announcement publicly of it's being recorded, so it'll be going around our Sangha around the world. As you know, our teacher has been doing education ever since he was a monk in Vietnam. I think he founded many schools, including a university. But the first school was called the School of Youth with Social Service. And later on, Vang Han University and so on. And so this is a continuation of our teacher's aspiration to bring the practice, the spiritual dimension into education. So this is a continuation. And I think we all know that education is in a little bit needing help. My observation, I can tell when children are homeschooled. I can tell when they're go to special school and not public school, which is a shame actually. Kids who are for alternative school, they're like free thinker and they can engage in you, and I can tell right away. And just having a conversation with the young one, so that's a real sadness actually. That's not at public school and normal school does something to our children. And so this is something deep in my heart. My brother's a teacher and my sister-in-law is a teacher. They all burnt out after 6 years, 7 years. So the Wake Up Schools movement was to help teachers and be more sustainable and to teach in a different way and to transmit this. Here is the school here will incorporate all of that. The teachers, students, staff, parents. So today we'll present that. Maybe the first slide we show is, let's see. So the vision here, or the mission. Sorry, I'm not very good with staying on course with the presentation. But our initiative here is to reimagine education. What's the purpose? So to really question all of that. So although we're going to do your standard typical education, but it's also questioning why, what do children do in school. So education is seen more like in the overall sense, not to make more workers and employees, good citizen and all these things that, or good leaders now, right? Come to the school, and your child will be the next leader and so on. And so we're going to question all of that, like more like the very, it's like a capitalistic system, become a good worker, get a good job. So the school is actually to create a human being that's like confident, free thinking, and nobody can fool this person. Can you imagine students coming out? They're not only smart, but they're not easily fooled. And free thinking and compassionate. They would never exploit anyone, or exploit any in their environment and so on. And then we're looking at the foot of the monastery here. So it's very linked to our tradition, but it's not necessarily Buddhist. It would be a secular, spiritually based and Buddhist based. And we envision it very connected with the overall community environment. Just imagine a village and children running around. So education is not just in the classroom, it will be in happy farm. And part of this vision is also to have other elements that make the community, which is a nursing home, elderly care home, and where the children will interact intergenerational. So that's the vision of incorporating all aspects. So education is not like separated from, for instance, part of the school is to serve. Like children will learn how to do dishes and peel carrots. So it's not just an intellectual endeavor. This is something, we got wrong a little bit, where we children go to school and stuff, and they don't know how to make rice. They don't know how to make bread. They don't know how to clean their house or build something. So it's also incorporating that whole aspect of being human. And service is very important. So it's not just to, it's to think of what are the needs of others and what are the needs of the community. So that's a very interactive kind of education. Project-based, looking at, so we'll start, with these ideas, this vision, and we'll grow from that. But that's just a little bit of the spirit. That's why it's called Interbeing. Thich Nhat Hanh School of Interbeing. So incorporate. It's kind of like this, what you're experiencing here, except it's how many months is school? It's like a couple of months? 10 months? Oh my God. Can you imagine this retreat extended 10 months? Boy. Did we sign up for this, Lou? No, I'm kidding. But this is Thay's vision. People ask, why isn't Thay doing all these political activist stuff and what do you call it? Right now engaging on world peace and so on. And the latter part of his life, he focused a lot on retreats and education. So know that this school is exactly the thing we need to do to resist and to support peace. So Thay go to the root, the seed. The children, the way they look at the world and the purpose of being in the world is the reason why a lot of things are happening now. Discrimination, violence, hate, supporting systems that condone war, right? And creating unnecessary, the military machine. So this is what the undermining, we got to go to it rather than reacting, just protesting and doing the trimming of the trees. But here we go to the seed. And and instilling in children. And if they love life, they would never pick up a gun and support any system that kill and destroy in the environment or other beings, right? So this is I just want to let you know that it is continuation of Thay's work for peace during the war in Vietnam. That's why he's so adamant to create schools, because he knows that's where we lay the seeds in the minds of the children. So with that, that's just a little introduction. I will hand it up to, who's next? Mina? Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's so wonderful to be here with you all. And my name's Mina. My Dharma name is True Seal of Peace. And I just want to take a moment and just start from a place of gratitude, deep gratitude to our beloved teacher, and gratitude to the Vietnamese people for bringing Thay into this world, and gratitude to the monastic community who really anchors this tradition and this practice that has given me great purpose, path, and taste of freedom over the years. But most of all, gratitude to all of you, because there are so many other places you could be right now, yet you chose to be here at Deer Park for the family retreat. And that, in and of itself, that's a miracle. That's extraordinary. So just deep appreciation to all of you. So I have been connected with the Plum Village tradition for a little over 20 years. My first encounter with this community was in 2004 in Oakland, California. I was a young teacher, and it was the Bay Area Educators Sangha, an early gathering, and Lynn Fine, who some of you may know, was facilitating. And I'm still connected with educators I met 21 years ago through that community. And 4 years later, I found myself in my ancestral homeland of India, and just had the great blessing of being part of a rather historic retreat in 2008 in Dehradun, and both of these beloved brothers were there. I actually vividly remember having a conversation with Brother Faplu on the gravel path at the Dune School. And that retreat changed the course of my life. It really did. If I think about like before that retreat and after, my life propelled in a completely different direction. And I currently serve on the working board of the Thich Nhat Hanh Foundation, and a newly ordained lay Dharma teacher in the community, but that role is currently manifesting in service of the Thich Nhat Hanh School of Interbeing. And I'm a former classroom teacher, school administrator. I currently lead a national nonprofit called Transformative Educational Leadership, where we support school leaders, principals, and superintendents with operationalizing the principles of nonviolence and really cultivating inner transformation in service of outer transformation. But most importantly, I am a parent of a 7-year-old who will be attending the Thich Nhat Hanh School of Interbeing, Kailash, who some of you have met before. And when I think about this school, like I feel like it's been so many years in the making, and we're at a point where the causes and conditions are coming together for its manifestation. But when I think about some of the greatest gifts this community has given me, one is to approach my vocation as an educator as my spiritual practice, to approach my marriage as a spiritual practice, but most importantly in this moment, to approach parenting as a spiritual practice. And my son started off in public school, and I'm a public school educator, so I'm really committed to public education. and saw he was thriving academically, but all of his reading and math instruction in kindergarten, a lot of it was through iPads. And I just knew in my heart that children that young in particular, that's not the best way to learn. And so we had transitioned him into a local Waldorf school, and some of you might be familiar with Waldorf, and there's a lot of beautiful elements about it. Parenting in community is one, the emphasis on embodiment and educating the whole child. But this school feels like the next step in being part of not a school with a mission, but a mission with a school, part of something greater. And as Brother Phap Young was sharing before, transforming education is how we transform our world. And so one of the greatest investments we can make is in supporting young people in being whole and healthy. And for me, this school, I've been saying lately, it's like living a dream I didn't know I had because it was too big of a dream to dream alone. And part of today is to invite you into that dream and to invite you into being part of this vision. A couple years ago on Mother's Day, my husband gave me this book. It's like Motherhood, the Best, Most Awful Job. And like those of you that are parents, it's like, being a parent in the course of a day can be the most amazing, exquisite experience, and at the same time be incredibly frustrating. And I feel like the opportunity to parent in community in this tradition is just so amazing. And so we can, I just want to share a little bit more about the vision. As Brother Phap Young mentioned, this vision of it being part of a larger community. We often say it takes a village, but this is really going to be the village. And I can say, when my son is up here at Deer Park running around and in the presence of the monastics who have the most joyful, loving energy around him, I just feel so blessed. And the thought of him being around that as a child, as a young person, is just extraordinary. And, and the intention is to really educate the whole child. We don't know what the future holds. We often say that we live in VUCA times, like volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, but the one thing I'm certain about and that I'm confident about is this community and this practice. And it's the greatest gift I could give to my child. It's the greatest gift we can give to the next generation. And, Mahatma Gandhi talked about the experiment with truth. And in many ways, this school is an experiment. And it'll be a lab school. And we invite you to consider being part of this experiment. This experiment that really is such an important part of Thay's legacy and Thay's continuation in the world. And in terms of our purpose, I'm going to read this to you all, but I'm going to invite you to let the words land in your body and being and just see what touches you. We are here to nurture wise, intelligent, and curious human beings. We are here to build a beloved community rooted in Buddhist principles and applied ethics. And we are here to inspire transformation in individuals and the world through compassion, mindfulness, and interconnectedness. So I'm just taking that in and seeing what lands for you. And we want to pause for a moment and invite you to just have a short kind of conversation with someone sitting next to you around thinking of a school-aged loved one. And what is your aspiration for their experience at school? In your heart of hearts, what would you want? for this beloved young person. And then just taking a moment to maybe just turn to the person next to you. We'll do pairs, and we'll have about 3 minutes just to share. If you don't know the person, introduce yourself, and being mindful of equity of voice, just what is your aspiration for this young person?
One more minute, so make sure both of you have shared. So we'll wrap up our conversations. You have 30 more seconds if you want to just finish your last thought. Make sure you thank your partner. So as an educator, nothing fills my heart more than beautiful conversations. Dear Thay, dear Sangha, my name is Carmen Mak, and I have been an educator for over 25 years. I started teaching in Boston, in Medford, Massachusetts, and then in Roxbury, and I was a 7th grade geography and social studies teacher for all 7 years. And even since in college, I was been really dedicated to bringing justice and equity to our schools. When I was in school and was learning about the huge disparity that our brown and black students have in our school systems, it was horrifying, and I wanted to make a difference. And how auspicious that today is Juneteenth, right? That we are we're part of this liberatory day and process, and what an incredible day to share about this school. So, my story, briefly, is that after burning out in Massachusetts, I worked at a charter school. We were able to get the kids 85 to 90% of my students passed the Massachusetts state tests in literacy, and they came in 2 to 3 grade levels below. So that was able to happen, and at what cost? I think at the cost of my humanity, at the cost of my students' humanity. And it was very hard to leave. I thought I had to leave education. But my sister was living out in California, and I was like, I'm gonna go out to LA and I'm gonna work at a surf shop. I'm not gonna go back to school. Let me take a break. And when I got to LA, I had enough rest and I joined a charter network and mainly focused in the San Fernando Valley, working with Latino students, first-generation Latino students. And there I've been an instructional coach, I've been a principal, I've been an assistant principal, I've run the induction program. And during COVID, I decided to go back to being a school leader in Pacoima. And Pacoima is a tough neighborhood. There's a lot of trauma there. And I was called to go back because I worked with these amazing teachers, and the school, it just felt like it needed a lot of love. And I felt finally ready to go back to school leadership. And I gave it my all. Like, my most favorite thing was that we created this, these 5 words for our student values was be gold, inspired by the story of the Buddha, the Thay Buddha, that was covered up, the golden Buddha that was covered up during wartime so that the raiders wouldn't take it, covered by mud. And so I would tell my students, you're gold, and we're gonna use this be gold, right? Anytime you're doing something off, I'm like, be gold, remember, be gold. And be gold stood for belonging, growth mindset, ownership, listening and learning, and determination. And it was really beautiful to see the shift of the culture of the school. At the same time, about 1.5 years ago, I had a really serious heart issue come up. And I realized it was the stress. That as much as I wanted to change the school system, as much as I wanted to push it and change it and transform it, it wasn't happening. I was getting sick as a result of trying so hard. And throughout this time, my first round of school leadership, about 12 years ago, I was struggling then as well, and I found this practice. I read Thay's book, Pieces Every Step, and I joined the Pasadena talk, and the monastics were singing Avalokiteshvara. And I still remember tears streaming down my face that day. And I was like, what? Peace is possible? And Thay's energy stayed with me for 2 weeks to a month, and I was like walking on air. And I couldn't believe that this was possible. And so I've been really using this practice, practicing it deeply. My Order of Interbeing name is actually True Continuation of Practice. And so I've been wanting to bring this practice, and I have been bringing it to the teachers I've worked with, to the students I work with. We have a joke around the office that I used to work at that my bell would ring, and everyone would be like, breathe, everyone, breathe. And so we would breathe. And so when I heard about the school, I was like, wow, there's something different. There's a different way that the systems that I was trying to shift and change, I couldn't do without community. And so it is with such humility and such gratitude that I'm here and so excited to work with this incredible team. I mean, we've been working together. I joined the team, I think, in November, and I've been blown away by the collaboration, the support, the love, the deep care. And what if this could be the new way for all schools? That we don't have to stick with the systems that we have. We know that they're breaking as it is, and what inspired me most is that we can create something new and something old, right? What we're asking for and what we're creating is very human. It lives in our bodies and our cells, and somehow in the past 500 years, it got all corrupted. And so we have a chance to do something different and something new, and so I'm just so inspired to be here with you all. That's my story. So in terms of what we're rooted in, I think some of my story talks about some of these aspects, including sustainability. This is sustainable for the earth as well, and we're so excited to have the students be part of Happy Farms and to learn about our deep connection with nature. And I'll just read these titles and kind of have you kind of sit with your own conversation that you just had and see if they connect with the words that came up in your sharing. Compassion, awareness of suffering and the courage to transform it. Wisdom, integrating learning for insight and transformation. Service, building loving communities. Taking responsibility for humanity and the planet. Curiosity and creativity, staying open to evolving perspectives and fostering innate wisdom. Courage, facing challenges bravely, embracing pain and hurt with mindfulness. Belonging, ensuring every child feels seen, valued, and connected. Sustainability, living in harmony with Earth as part of a regenerative economy. And joy, cultivating awe and wonder in a positive learning environment. When I was thinking about the previous question, I was thinking about my nephews. They're in a really good school system, and there's no joy. When I ask him, hey, how's it going, Cubby? He's like, I don't like school. And it would be so beautiful for us to build a joyful school. And these are our principles that are guiding it. A day in the life. So if you'll imagine with me what a day in the life will be like for our students, our precious little ones, we'll have opening circle, probably a lesson from Thay, some movement, a little bit of mini Dharma sharing. And then we'll move into math and science in motion, exploring the outside world, looking at plants, talking about math that shows up, really integrating learning math with what we see in the real world. Outdoor mindful snack and play, right? Using the beautiful Mandarin orange meditation for snack meditation, and then mindful play. Make sure you're taking care of each other as you're playing. Have fun, take care of each other. Living literacy. So really going beyond the iPad, right? Reading stories in small groups and big groups, acting out plays, building literacy really from a deep, authentic level. And deep relaxation. Who doesn't love deep relaxation, right? The good nap time. And we're gonna do a guided deep relaxation so that they build the habits, right? As we were talking about earlier, everything is about habits. We build these habits of how do you relax when you're nervous or when you're anxious or when you're angry. And then in the afternoon, after lunch, we have this integrative learning experiences. So this is where they take the math, science, English, history that they learned and they put it into a project. We make it alive. So it's very hands-on. You learn something in the morning, we're gonna make it alive in the afternoon. And then the closing circle closes the day. We open the day with a circle, we close the day with a circle, sharing what you learned from your friends about yourself.
Just interrupt it. Before the day starts, just imagine the school is like, the North Star for it is that this school is like a circus. So your children will want to go to it. So in the morning, it's the children rushing the parents. Come on, Mom, we're going to be late. They want to go to school so much that the parent is like, So this is the vision that we want to make this place where children, it's like they go there to have fun. So that's the vision of it. Because sometimes school just kills all of that. So imagine when they go to a circus, that's the kind of energy we want. And it's got to be a little wild like that too, not just like boxes and desk and stuff. So that's what's guiding us. So the day will feel like that. But even before the day, I'm imagining like later on hearing a story where the children want to come so much that they're rushing the parents, which is like normally the other way, right?
Dear respected Thay, dear friends, yeah, it's just reflecting on one of the roots of this school is the Wake Up Schools movement. And about 10 years ago, we were working on a book called Happy Teachers Change the World. And I remember collaborating with Catherine Weir, who's a professor of social and emotional learning in England. And we were going back and forth about something that Thay had said, which is that in a real school, that a practice community, the teacher can share their suffering with their students, and it can be held and embraced in the classroom. And just like in a retreat, each of us comes with our own pain, our own worries, anxieties, and we're able to put it down and just take a refuge in the community of practice. That's what we envision for this school. Where a place where the teacher is also being cared for. Yeah, so Wake Up Schools from the very beginning, what you see up here, it's a number of the friends who've helped us through the years. So there's Richard Brady, who in the late 90s, he's a math teacher in a Quaker school in Washington, D.C., and he's a lay Dhamma teacher, a senior Dhamma teacher in America. And so he was quite uncertain, how can I bring this practice that's helped me so much into my classroom? And it wasn't until later in his career that he was able to do it. But he started a great network called the Mindfulness and Education Network, and that really built up a community. I mean, this was back when email lists were a new thing. It's like 2000, 2001. And so it was mostly Plum Village practitioners. Now it's more general mindfulness. So he was asking Thay already in the 90s, how can we bring this practice into schools? And so this is planting the seeds. Sister Kyra Jewel Lingo, Sister Jewel, who's a nun in our tradition, she's my eldest sister. And it's so inspiring to see her work with kids in the children's program. It's part of what inspired me. So my name is Brother Phap Lu, and my mom is a teacher, so she's an elementary school teacher her whole life, and so I've been very inspired. I consider being a teacher myself, like a secondary school teacher, but then I saw all the suffering in the school system, and I had to deal with my own suffering before I can go into such a space. But it's been very dear to my heart, this project of actually bringing kids up within a curriculum of interbeing, a living community. And I was inspired by Sister Jewel in her work with the kids program. She actually took the notes from all of the children's programs in Plum Village and made it into a book, which became the book called Planting Seeds. And it's really transformed the life of many families. So it's just the basic practices of mindfulness, pebble meditation, 2 promises, different kinds of games. And I felt so inspired that I decided to try out doing the kids program in Upper Hamlet, and that became an 8-year kind of odyssey. In Plum Village, our summer retreat is not just 5 days, it's 4 weeks. And with the volunteers, a training week, it's a whole 5-week program. So we kind of created a school every summer, and it was so much love and care. We had about 20 volunteers and 5 monks in Upper Hamlet, and we did the French and Spanish and Italian kids. And slowly every year we built another yurt, and that's the spirit as well of this school. We want to have that space that's no corners, right? Circular. There's a lot of wisdom in that circular space of a yurt. So we started building yurts in Upper Hamlet, and then it became a little village. And so I could say I got quite attached to it. I would look forward every summer. And that's a big transformation, because if you know Plum Village, most of the monastics who did the children's programs would run away as quickly as possible. Some of them did only survive 2 weeks. But after a few years of this really integrated approach and bringing lots of people on board, that helped too, lots of volunteers, we were able to create a real community. And that's the spirit of this school. So that I see that that's part of what I try to contribute to this group, is that experience of building the summer program in Plum Village. And Kyra Jewell is really at the core of that. Ellie Weisbaum, she's a professor at University of Toronto, studies doctors and healthcare workers, the impact of Plum Village practice on them. So she was the first Wake Up Schools coordinator. So we actually got a donation at the beginning. She helped us to organize ourselves and get it. And that's right, she grew up, she's 9 years old when she went on her first retreat. So she's a living embodiment of the impact of Plum Village practice. Really a wonderful human being. Shantam Seth, so Mina already shared. When Thay went to India in 2008, Shantam said, "Thay, what do you want to be the focus of your trip?" And Thay said, "Education." And that's why the Dune School retreat happened. And that was really a kind of like focal moment. And then Thay started talking about applied ethics. So really what we call now Wake Up Schools was originally called the Applied Ethics Initiative. In almost every Dhamma talk, Thay would say something about how we need to apply we need to put into practice how we feel we should live in the world, right? Be the change you want to see in the world. And so Shantam was really a key part of that. And he's also continued, every time we go to India, he's bringing us to this school, that school. I mean, the schools that his kids were going through, his two daughters, as well as now he's established connection with many schools in India, and we've learned a lot. It's been a two-way street. When we go to a school in India, we see, it's so different from what I saw growing up here in the States, as far as the energy in a school. And then Sister Fugim here, one of our sisters who's the kind of matriarch of the children's program. It's not enough to have it in the family retreat. She wants to have children's programs on days of mindfulness. And I worked together with her to come up with what we call Happy Families Change the World, which is part of this, I'll just finish my bit with the last little bit of this school, which is that we see it's not only for the kids, not only for the teachers, but it's for the entire family. And so as when we interview, the process of bringing students and families into the school, we'll actually be interviewing the entire family. We'll be asking the entire family to make a commitment. So it's not like you just send your daughter or your son or your child to the school to be more mindful. No. You got to do it yourself. You have to be willing as a family to make a commitment. And so we will have also a training program for families, which means bringing practices like beginning anew into the day, the weekly life of the family, watering flowers. And so we'll try to find ways to not only have the students going through days, but also try to bring the parents into the school and to be part of that and make commitments to go to days of mindfulness here at the monastery. And
there will be a parents' sangha.
Yeah, and we will have a parents' sangha. I just want to share one last bit. I know we have not much time, but we had an experience of about 7 years of a collaboration with a school called the Dhamma School in Brighton, in the United Kingdom. And that was very eye-opening, because that was a school that also was started out of a monastery. It started out of Amaravati, which is a Thai forest tradition practice center in England. And so not so much from the monks, but from the parents who had kids. They wanted to raise their kids in a Dhamma environment. So it was very explicitly Buddhist school. But the school itself didn't, sometimes the monks would come and visit, but it didn't have kind of this kind of integration between the monastery and the school. And it had a really good head teacher. But after the first, I think, 15 years of the school, he decided to step down. And they kind of wobbled. So it became very dependent on one person. And we tried to come in and say, well, what if you made it a Plum Village school? Because at that time, we didn't have the capacity to start a school like we're doing now. We weren't at that point yet. But we did come in, and there was a lot of interest, but it was kind of like... And it was wonderful. I mean, you saw these kids having such a sense of how to take care of their emotions, how to look at their suffering, their pain in a very practical way, not in just theory. And so these kids were really compassionate. So it was a beautiful experience to go and do these 1-week interventions in the Dhamma school. But unfortunately, during the pandemic, the school folded. They couldn't get enough, support from families, and so that was this like brief start. And I do feel that we're learning from that experience. I mean, I personally was deeply involved in that collaboration, and so I think we get to see what works and also what shortcomings there are. And one of the key things we see is that this school has the monastery right behind it. So that is the key, right? There's an integration with the monastery, and the practice, and the energy that's going on here, and what's going on in the school. So anyway, thank you for listening. Yeah.
Dear Thầy, dear quý Thầy, quý sư cô here, and dear big Sangha, my name is Angela Vu, and so I'm the last speaker today, but we do have 2 more members on our seed group that we've been working over a year now. That's Alicia, she's in Colorado, she couldn't make it here today, and May, also up in the Bay Area, then she couldn't make it down today. So I just want to introduce them as well. We've been working together very hard, so I want to acknowledge everyone here. And so we've been listening to all of these beautiful visions and, how a day would be, how to school and the whole thing, everything. So now I would like to invite everyone to join us to actually take those visions and put them into actions so we can actually make the school happen. And so we're looking ahead. So right now we're in summer of 2025. So we're making our very first official public announcement today. And then we'll be launching we'll be launching a fundraising campaign right after that. And of course, do you know that it takes a lot to, right now we all volunteers working for the last year, but we do need to have teachers, we do need to have a lot of help with the school, so we do need the funding to make that happen, right? So that's why the fundraising campaign will come next, so we'll hope to be able to really get your support on that. And we're also gonna be recruiting parents, families with children that considers to rearrange maybe if you're too far away or you're locally, rearrange so that you can come by Deer Park within the vicinity here. So the school, as of right now, we're planning the school right outside the gate of Deer Park, across the street from that gate. So that's our initial locations, and we're in the permitting state right now to getting a permit for that, and then gonna build the school. You see earlier we envisions to have yurts there, so it looks really natural and fun for the kids. We hope to make it as interactive as possible. And then, of course, there's like 7 of us here, so that's not enough. That's not a village, right? So we need a lot of help. So if you have some spare times to come as volunteers or even future staff, you have an interest in that, you could come, and we start recruiting now. We do need a lot of, you could help with a few hours a week, more than that. However, time and whatever talents you have, don't worry that you're not a teacher. I'm not a regular teacher either, so we do need a lot of help with websites, social media. We need help with administrative work. We need help with building. We're going to build a school, right? So there's a lot of help that we could use your help with. So please come and offering. And if you don't have children, then you even have more time to help. I hope so. Right? So. Yes, and then in the falls of 2025, we're hoping to host several sessions for parents who are interested to actually dive deeper into what we're offering and how it's going to be, and questions and answers, because I know that we don't have a lot of time left today. So we do that in the falls, and then we're looking to hiring teachers and getting all the facility ready and everything in place by spring of 2026. So that you can open for enrollment. And then we'll open the school in the fall of 2026. And that's our hope for that. So with the praying effort, energy of everyone, we'll hopefully to make that timeline by fall of 2026. And for the initial school, it's just going to be from first to 3rd grade. Because we want to keep it small so that we can really, make sure that it's as good as how we envisioned it. And then every year we're going to add a grade to it. So the next year we'll have 4th, 5th, and then we'll become a K-8 eventually. And then the school would get bigger, and then we'll get a bigger school, right? So just go rewind a little bit, right? So I was born and raised in Vietnam during a very difficult time right after the war, the Civil War, 1975, right after that. So my dad was taken away. So, my mom was a single mom. And I had we were very poor because we lost everything after the war. So I had a really harsh life. By the age of 10, I already go to the market and get food every day for the family. By the age of 12, I cooked dinner for the entire family, right? So I know how to do everything as like a big grown woman as a young age. I remember when I was like little like this, and I was too short to reach the stove, so my mom had to put a stool for me to stand on it, and then somehow the soup pot got flipped over by the log that was burning it, and the whole soup has gotten to my legs. So it's like, so there was a lot of harsh things going on, right? But then somehow I was a very happy child. I was raised somehow with, my house was near a temple, so I go there very often, almost like every weekend at nights, whenever I have time, I just walk over, and I was embraced by all the love of the monk and nuns there. So it made me become a very happy child. So when I came here as a young teens, and I love working with children, so I started working with them as soon as I came to America, right? Actually, I was a Girl Scout and Boy Scout in Vietnam the first Sunday, and then I came here the following Sunday. I start immediately right after that. I don't even skip a week, right? So, but then I saw the kids over here, they had everything. They have all the toys. I don't even have toys when I was a kid. I play with bottle caps, with like thrown away stuff from the household. They have everything, and they were not happy. They were so stressed out. They had, the suicidal rate for teenagers in the United States is alarming, right? And why is that? So that sort of like triggers the questions in me. And I realized that the whole environment, how you were raised, it's not about money, it's not about what you have or what you don't have. It's how you look at it, how you embraced it, how you be able to see that it doesn't matter what you have or don't have. It's matter what's in your heart, right? So that's why what we didn't have a chance to go to this school, I really hope that all of us gonna put our hands together to bring the school to our children in the future. Even it's that children is friends of ours, children is our grandchildren, or a neighbor's children. We want to bring that, right? We can't give our children a future. We cannot build a future of them, but we can build them. We can build them so that they can build their own future in the very happy future. So please join us. You know, if you don't have kids, you can also bring this news to your friends, to your family who have kids, that they would, you know, consider us to join us for our futures right here, and share the vision. It's really important that right now, you know, we've started out today here, and we hope that this will be shared all over. And we hope that this school will inspire many other schools, many other locations of Plum Village and, you know, and other traditions to bring up a school like this in the future as well. So we will have a table up by the dining hall, and we'll be there for the next few days to answer any questions you may have. We'll also have brochure that we will give it out. It will have all the QR codes on here. Hopefully that, you know, if you don't know how to use a QR code, it's okay. We can help, right? So we have family interest forms here. We have volunteer staff interest form. We have inquiry if you just want to leave us your you know, to join our mailing list so that we can announce when things coming up. And of course, there's donation link. So every bit helps, right? You don't have to look for, we do look for a millionaire out there. Just kidding. But all of us will contribute, and every bit of it, it's gonna make that happen. So, so that's, I'd like to conclude our presentations here with that. And if open the floor for questions. If you have any sort of like questions that you want to ask, if we don't have time to cover it now, we would take the questions and may come back to it. Thank you. What? I'm sorry, just one little note. So I remember that I used to go to temple, right? I saw the kids here go to temple, and they're very afraid of going to temple, traditional temple. They were not allowed to lay beautiful like that on the floor. So now we have this school that will allow that, right? Allow all of that to happen at the foot of the monastery. So let's make that happen.
You guys are so lucky, huh? When I grew up, I couldn't do that. So if anyone, you can raise your hand if you have any question. Yes? 3. Yeah. To start.
Yeah, the vision is initially K-8, but K through 3, fall of 2026, and 2 mixed grade classes. So 1 K1, looking for 10, probably can't, you know, about 10 students, and a mixed grade 2 to 3 with 10 students. But obviously, if it feels like the right fit, you know, and the right conditions, but just because we want to grow in a really thoughtful way, and so we're starting small.
Slow growth.
So we can learn. Yeah.
It's better.
Yeah, Barbie?
Thank you, everybody. It sounds amazing. I'm wondering at what point you're going to start building curriculum. I mean, obviously you have the visions for curriculum now, but sort of fleshing out the curriculum, and particularly the curriculum that makes this unique.
So the question was about curriculum and building the curriculum that makes this program unique. So actually, May and Alicia and myself are working on that already. We started with the schedule, and then we're going to continue working. We meet every Friday, and we're continuing building that. So thank you for that beautiful question.
You know, part of the Wake Up Schools movement, we've done many educators retreat, huge, 800, 1,200 in Toronto, all educators, and we have these little workshop making curriculum, and I was involved in those things. And I remember getting like, you know, it's just a kind of brain that like organizes those things. And so I've actually asked the team that I have a position, and it's called I will be the rewilder, rewilding our children. So if the curriculum is to domesticating our children, I will come in and I would take all the kids away and go on a hike. So curriculum building, if we're not careful, it is the same kind of thinking that like kills children. I don't know if you noticed that. So I love children when they're like free thinking, wow, of course, nice and considerate, but a free thinking human being, wise and compassionate. That is the goal. Not a curriculum to like chunk out a bunch of cookies so that they can be good citizen and not question stuff. So this is what we're after. Kind of like a scary thing, a liberated person. So our motto will be education that liberates. You know, that is the, yeah. This is like, this Thich Nhat Hanh is in the name of our school. So we, that's a lot. So we better not be so, conventional and fit in the norm right now, right? That is not working. It's producing a lot of great leaders and smart people, but I don't know. We got we got to question that, okay? Any other question back there? Yes. This is we are having that in line that this will be replicable. Kind of like, so we're creating this. Hopefully, I think it will kick off. That's why we want to grow this slow, so we have the spirit of Plum Village, of our teacher's vision for what a human being should be in the world, and then that I think will inspire all the other centers, especially in America, New York, and Plum Village. A lot of families are moving. But again, it's not just education. It is a whole community network village. So we have to even take the whole idea of school, like we gotta that's such a factory-oriented, the origins of education, right? It's to produce factory workers, on time, the bell. There's none of that. And there's going to be there won't only be classroom. There will be like sitting on the ground, like the children's program. You see them up there? So we're going to question all that. And then again, Sister said it is a lab. It is definitely going to be a lab. And we'll find our way like that, to look for a new model. Did you hear, Falu? One practical question is around the tuition and the costs and so on. Anyone?
So we'll come back with the tuitions questions later because we're still working on that, and also our fundraising is going to play a big effort in that, right? So if you don't mind to wait until the fall of 2025, right? The second question is that I run after-school program for children right now. Currently, it's called Bodhi Academy, and believe me, meditation is just sitting there doing nothing. But it's really hard for the children to do, right? So, but we are able to do it because we have a lot of different ways to break that exercise into a really small chunks that the children can actually do it, and it takes time. It's not gonna happen day one, right? It takes time, and after they've been with us for 6 months, for a year, you can see you can change. We have child with ADHD that could not sit for 30 seconds or a minute, but then after being with us for 6 months, he can actually sit for 10 minutes. So that's why with children, we cannot do traditional meditation. We can't just, that's why we have mindful snack, we have circle, we have a lot of different forms that can help them to calm themselves down. I hope that's answered the questions.
Yeah, also part of the school will have a volunteer program through Action Wake Up for young people to come here and live at the monastery for 1 year in exchange for service. And so those service-oriented people coming here will serve at the Happy Farm and they will serve at the school. So it'll be one teacher and then maybe 2 other volunteers. So it's done like a team. So it's not all on the teacher. So like our children's program, each group has 4 people doing it, or even more if we can. So I think that's our vision is to not put it all on one person. So it's just so there's some kids who have special needs. When I did the special program, I would do all the edgy kids. And they were great. And then there's ways to do it. The ones who have a lot of energy, you make them the leader. You be the bellmaster. And you tell us when the kids are too rowdy. And then all of a sudden, he's totally behaved. So they're like things that and you don't get to do that if it's like you have a team. And then they're special. And this is something we've learned. And we want to replicate that in the classroom. Yeah. In front here.
I was doing some quick math in my head based on the age of our child right now, and sadly, I recognized, by the time she's in 8th grade, it won't have matched up with your opening schedule. So, my question is, will there be opportunities for adolescents to be involved, like high school age children, whether volunteering or just participating? Maybe that's looking far.
Yeah, right now we're managing this something like we don't want this be overwhelming so slow growth, and of course that's more the best way. And then as opportunities and children and involving young people, yeah, that's very important. There's some teenagers here that have been coming through, and I had tea with them, and I said, you keep coming back, you don't find it boring? It's like, no, I love it. So they're like, some teens love it, and for them to come back. So I imagine that's will be the case. So this is, and we'll do retreats like this, and there'll be an interlocking with retreats that we have here at the monastery. There'll be retreats on education, and all the educators will go down there and see the school. There will be 2 retreats for young people, and they will check out the Happy Farm. They'll retreat for environmental, sustainable agriculture, the planet, and so on, the farm, and so on, healthcare. So it's very linked to us how we're doing these retreats. Family retreat, can you imagine that? And so this with the school presence, with the elderly care, with the farm, so people can begin to see a different way to live rather than like isolated homes in a walled-off community where the neighbors don't even know each other. That is what we're going against, how to restructure the whole urban environment. Maybe one last question? Thank you. Yes? Yes, as this is part of our vision as well, is to see. So we're taking care of children, but we also need to take care of the elderly, and to increase the quality of life in that care, that phase. And it's not just going to these nursing homes where they wait to die. You know, my dad was in one. I took care of it, so it's definitely personal with me. I'm like, man, we got to redo this. So just in the way that we're remodeling education and what the whole purpose of school is. I don't even like the word school. We got to give a new word, you know, because it's so allergic to it. But there's also questioning about how to take care of elderly people or sick people. It's like we treat them like just wait. You know, my dad was watching TV. He learned how to watch American football from this other man that was there. I mean, there's some community, but there's no activity. So that's part of our vision. And slowly, like these bodhisattva that kind of popped up, I'm throwing it out there. So hopefully I have a team of 5 other major bodhisattvas who have like free time, you know, that come and help me with realizing the elderly care area. You see that? So that's how we work here. We just kind of throw things up and see what lands. So I already have one a family up north. She wants to come down and help with that. So that this is our so the whole part of life, right? Child to how to, that'd be beautiful. The kids going over there and reading stories with the elderly, or interviewing all the elderlies and get them to share their bio, or coming out doing the farming together. I mean, that is not education. That is like love, you know. Anyway, thank you, huh? We'll end it here. And thank you so much for smiling. I see a lot of smiling faces. And please, I always believe in this. Keep this vibration in your heart. You feel this? This is the future for our planet. And you keep this vibration and we build it together. Wherever you go, you keep this. Because everything else is stomping it down. The news, what's happening. So you got to keep the positive energy out, okay? So don't let what's happening in this country destroy that. Keep that positive vibration. That's what our purpose is. Just continue to do that. Don't let the negativity and the despair pull us down. Resist, as Thay would say. Build communities of resistance. Not to fight against anything, but to resist the negativity and the hate. So this is, thank you for your support with that. We'll end here with the 3 sounds of the bell. Just to let go and think of all those who are less fortunate than us to have this place, to have this practice, to have this beautiful community that we are building.